Hello and welcome, Inspire podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is Tenia Davis. And I'm so happy that you are here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Caroline.
Thank you so much for saying yes. And of course, I want to introduce you to the audience. So, you
Okay.
are a distinguished expert in human resources and a visionary in leadership development. With a storied career as the chief people officer, now it comes at NORC at the University of Chicago, Dr. Davis has pioneered innovative strategies for fostering purpose driven leadership and cultivating workplace cultures that thrive on empathy, mentorship, and employee empowerment. You are also the author of 8 Essential Steps to Inspire Others and Build a Thriving Workforce, The Servant Leadership Advantage, a book that I don't know the word, elucidates a proven framework designed to cultivate superior leaders who bring out the best in their teams. And sorry, I'm in Germany. I do my
That's
best
okay.
to read your bio and I learn new words, but I love that you implemented also. So, this is what we have in common, the word inspired and inspiration. And this is
Yeah.
what this podcast is all about. So, my first question is what inspires you on a daily basis and what inspired you to do what you are doing now and especially to write this book?
Oh, thank you. So there are many things that inspire me. I think just the opportunity to show up and be part of something bigger than myself. And I'm inspired by learning and also contributing to a space that I think the world needs today. And I've done a lot of research on servant leadership. And the topic alone, I know is kind of a broad topic, but when I think of servant leadership in the eco space of corporate America, I think there's just a great opportunity to look at how we lead our organization, how we develop our staff, and most importantly, how do we create a work environment where everyone feels they can thrive, where they feel a sense of belonging, and where they can show up and give their best work.
Wow, thriving, yes. We have goals like the vision and the mission of the company, right? And we have personal goals as well. And to
Yes.
align that, I think this can be, I also studied human resources for a period like 2 years or so. I don't know. But
Good.
these words, the vocabulary is very familiar, and also
Yeah.
to care about cultures and to find the differences and similarities. It's so
Mhm.
inspiring when we are
Mhm.
open to it. So thank you so much for sharing. And my next question is, who inspires you? Do you have coaches and mentors? And who was the best coach you ever had?
Wow. I can't say just one. I would say along my journey, there were a couple that I think challenged me to look at things differently and to really look at and examine how I want to lead and show up in an organization. The first one I would say is Tim Bennett, who was the president of the Oprah Winfrey Show, Harpo Studios. He's just an amazing person. To have such I think, a warm temperament and engaging spirit. He's a good listener, a thought leader, as well as he always thought of the greater good of the organization and also for the employees. And actually, that's where I was introduced to servant leadership. And I saw someone model the behaviors as well as take interest in how leaders show up in the organization and just very candid conversations and you really felt the authenticity. The second, you mentioned coach, Dr. Marilyn Stocker, who I think is an amazing individual. I learned a lot from her, worked with her on several projects, and she really pushes, but not really pushes, nudges you to kind of think outside of your box and also comfort zones. And she was one of the committee members on my dissertation team and really challenged me to look at how I was conducting my research, how I was looking at the space, and really how I wanted to contribute in this space of servant leadership research per se, and I learned a lot. I walked away some days needing more coffee to rework to walk through my reworks. But I really learned a lot from her, and coming out on the other side, I'm very appreciative of that journey with her.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. And we are talking about servant leadership the whole time, you know. This is one way to lead people, to bring them into their potential. And what would you say, how would you define servant leadership, and what is it not?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's definitely not, it's so funny, if someone is not familiar with the concept, they might say, wow, that sounds very passive and no one is a servant. And I do think the title needs kind of a revisit. It's more of a service leadership versus servant leadership. So I think in its context and in, the world today, it kind of takes a negative tone. But what it is, service leadership, what it is having the ability to really connect and think of your team more so than yourself. And there's a term that I love called cultural perspicacity. And it's basically saying that leaders that exhibit this behavior tends to look at all the nuances that their team might have and really want to know about each person, right? Caroline is in Germany. This is her background, and these are the things that she enjoys doing. And this is how I can get the best out of Caroline, right? Whereas there might be Michael, and Michael is from a different area of the world and he is motivated differently. And so I think leaders, at least in my research that I've studied, that have had the most success in this sort of workplace where we have many generations at work, they are taking the time to understand those nuances and they're taking the time to really understand the complexities of their team so that they can get the best out of them. I think leaders that show up and want to lead and more of follow me versus walk with me, those that have more of a directive versus engage, will have a harder time with the workplace today because the generations that work today work differently and they want to know that you care, they want to be inspired, they want to know you're engaged, they want to know who you are. So there's this need for authenticity and, those aren't all those things are typically, historically, were not taught in terms of, what a leader should be.
Yes, absolutely. And earlier you said the word belong. They want to belong as well. I love
Yeah,
so much, and it
yeah.
is different than how we worked before. For example, when I think of,
Mhm,
it's like networking, and but with the responsibility for the people. Now we can say responsible for and responsible to is also a difference, right? But in terms of, yes, and I love how you implemented the word nuances, new, yeah, in it's a French word, I know, and it is about like an assessment. A leader
yeah,
assesses the potential and the
yeah.
skills that are in the team, and then to see the goals of the persons,
Mhm.
and how to bring them to that goal, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I personally believe everyone has a superpower, right? We all bring our superpower to the table. And I think great leaders, at least my experience with them, good leaders, my experience with them, are individuals that say, okay, I might write to the left, you might write to the left, and I'm going to get the best out of both, right? Versus I'm going to force you to fit in this box where you might not be able to excel and a good leader will assess and maybe try to understand, okay, how do I get the best out of this person? Because I hired them for a reason. They have a talent, they have a contribution, right? I truly believe that people show up to work to do their best. I believe that. I think sometimes what gets in the way is leaders aren't equipped to lead different work styles, right? So it's understanding how can I get the best out of this person? I know they want to be here. I know they want to contribute. So what is it that they excel at? So maybe you don't put them on a project, if the project it requires someone to have you know, heavy analytics, right? However, they might be great with design, right? And so you put them where they will excel, right? And then you engage with them. How does this feel? How are you learning? this assignment, and how do you feel about the assignment? Or do you feel that you're connecting with your team? Do you feel you're getting good feedback? Which is another area where leaders kind of struggle. And you engage them in that process. You then build trust, right? And when you build trust with your team, then most likely what they will do is say, hey, they won't wait for you to visit them. They will visit you and say, hey, here's how things are going. And I'm learning a lot. I'm excited. By the way, I'm interested in learning more about XYZ, right? And that's how you're able to build that muscle. And it takes time. It's no longer one-sided, where historically it was the leader, mandates this, the leader will drive you in this direction. It's no longer that. It's really an engagement where the leader has to engage in with the team to really get the best out of them.
Wow, I love how you described it. I went with you through a company now to the employees and visited every one of them. It's so nice how you described it, and the word to engage them instead of giving directions, or the other word. Yeah, what is the difference between engaging and interacting? Is there a
Yeah.
difference?
And they're intertwined, right? I can interact with you right now. I'm having a conversation with you, right? To engage with you is to go a little bit deeper and say, wow, I remember she said that she enjoys cooking. I remember she mentioned that she likes to bike ride, right? So I'm engaging in aspects of who you are, right? I'm engaging in what makes you successful at work and outside of work, right? And historically, these aren't things that these aren't the typical conversations historically that we would engage in. However, the workforce today, this is part of the conversation of how they like to interact as well as engage.
Mhm.
And that's what I've seen and
Oh,
experienced.
okay. So interacting is, or engaging is interacting with interest, with true.
Yes,
I'm really interested in you, and not interacting is just like you can ask
absolutely.
about the time. What time is it at the train
Yes,
station?
right.
Or I don't know. Yeah, I have to
Yeah,
learn. Not
exactly, exactly, or "Good morning, how are you? Thank you," right?
Mhm.
And engaging is kinda going a little bit deeper. "Well, how are you? Well, how was your weekend?" Right? And how's that project going? And "Congratulations, I hear you just completed, a certificate program. Tell me about that," right? How do you plan to use that certificate, right? So you're engaging in, a little bit deeper. And it's really interesting too, when I work with leaders and around the water cooler, I hear folks say, wow, I just don't know what questions are proper to ask and what should I say and not say. And I want to give feedback, but I'm not sure what I would say. And, people really struggle with that. And I think it's a great opportunity to have that conversation with folks. I do have a second book coming out on just feedback. Because that's like the number one thing that along my career that leaders struggle with, and I think have the best intentions, but just need a little bit of a script. And so my next book is all about how to give feedback, but I call it constructive insights, and in a way that is engaging, in a way that builds relationship. And so I'm hoping that it resonates with folks.
Oh, yes, thank you for sharing. I look forward to this book. I almost recorded 300 episodes now. You are 299. Congratulations since December. And I had one.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I had only one guest who, after I stopped the recording, that he suggested, let's do a feedback. How so he gave me feedback immediately, and I had to say how, I don't know what, it was uncomfortable because
Oh,
it never appeared, or it never happened before. So I get nervous when I think about that. But it was the best thing, the best experience, unexpectedly, and it was also a nice feedback. So
yeah.
yes, what you said, I love a book about feedback. Does this
Yeah.
exist?
And I made it really simple, right? Because what I found in my career is that to your point, people are really uncomfortable, and rightfully so, especially, in the climate today. Leaders just don't know what to say. And sometimes, if they have not built that rapport with that employee, then it can be uncomfortable for both, right? So, how do you help an employee be in a place to hear and to receive the information, and then how to script and help the leader deliver it in a positive way, right? I always say feedback is a gift because once you have it, you then have the opportunity to make change or, kind of reevaluate how you can might do things maybe do things differently, and it's a great opportunity for growth, right? And we all need feedback, right? And I always ask my team for feedback, and the workplace today is one where you really have to check in with your team. How's it going? How are you feeling? There are so many dynamics in the workplace, as I was sharing with someone else. They don't just stop when people go to work. So if they're having complex, social issues at home, that doesn't stop when they go into the workplace, right? And so if you have this convergence of employees with a multitude of different things going on in their personal life, it does show up, in the workplace. And so how can you help folks navigate that and focus on the task at hand, to deliver the results for the organization, and also as an employee to feel that someone cares.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's so important also to engage. Now I use this word, okay? And there was a hidden message in what you just shared. It's about the asking part. Why
Yeah,
why not just asking for feedback? Because we are afraid of the answer. Of course, we are
yeah,
afraid of criticism. Let's say it that way, not of
yeah,
the answer. Being
yeah.
criticized. Then I have the next question is how do you inspire other people? And I often have guests in my show, they say, I don't know, because the other people have to say. But when you ask for feedback, then you should exactly know how you inspire other people, right?
Well, I can tell you what has been shared with me. I truly believe in helping folks be their best, and I'm always supportive of whatever direction folks want to take. But what has been shared with me is that I'm a good listener, and that I lead by example, in that I am present, in that I truly care about how folks grow in their career. And I do. I think that as a leader, we shouldn't just carry the title. We should look at the influence we have with the folks around us, right? So if someone wants to learn benefits, on my team, or if someone wants to switch from benefits to analytics, okay, I sit down and say, how do we get there? Let's do an assessment of what's our current state, right? What are our superpowers today? And then what is it that we need to develop? And those items that we need to develop, then let's look at how you strengthen those muscles, right? So is it a course? Is it working on a project? How do we get there? And so I help and work with them in developing that roadmap. And we have little stop points, I call them. Okay, well, how are we doing? Are we getting there yet? And how do you feel about that course you just took? And so I think it's really important, to, have that sort of engagement, interaction with teams. I think sometimes, there's kind of like this nirvana. I'm a leader now, and being a leader is not easy. And I think it comes with a responsibility, or at least I feel it's a responsibility to those that I am leading. They show up to work every day to give their best, and I think as a leader, I should be doing the same to help them be their best.
Wow, I love what you shared, and I have so many, I have to re-listen to it because there were so many nuggets in it. Thank you so much for sharing. And
You're
when
welcome.
I took my first role as a CEO-like position, I was so nervous. I read a book named The First 90 Days as CEO or something like that. I was so nervous. I remember and what you said about the helping the people to reach their goals, and you talked about, I would say, accountability, holding them
Yes,
accountable, even though they can only do this for themselves, right? No one
yes,
can
yes,
can force them also, but you can ask, you can
yes,
engage and say and ask about the milestones. Did you
yes.
reach your next what you what you committed to, what you
Yes.
were committed to do, something like that. And that leads
Right.
me to my next question about your goals. Do you set
Okay.
goals for yourself or intentions? And what is one of your goals? You mentioned your second book for 2024.
Yes. So I do. Actually, it's kind of a journey for me. So, top in the end of the year for the top of the year, I kind of just reevaluate the past year and look at did I accomplish what I set out to accomplish? And one of the items I had on my list was completing my PhD, and I did that. And another item I had was writing my first book. I wanted to give birth and take all the wonderful research um, that I compiled, and I wanted to put it in a format that people could consume in a thoughtful way. And from that book, I received a lot of feedback on feedback saying that there's a strong interest to really understand feedback. There's so many new managers out there now. You know, our cycle is changing in the workplace, and so that's one of my goals is to birth the second book. And the other goals I think are just more, not non-work related. And this is kind of offbeat, but I've always wanted to take a pottery class. So I'm going to take a pottery class. Just wanted to do that. So I have that, each year I say, I want to learn how to, make pottery. And so I have that. And then I'm also taking Reiki classes. So I have personal goals and I have professional goals. My professional goals, my focus is helping develop the next generation of HR practitioners and and carry on and transfer information I have to help others have success.
Wow, this is so amazing what you said about your pottery class. So when we do the next interview in 1 year, for example, then you tell us what you already did or if you did this. Yes,
Yes.
I'm so
Yes.
happy and congratulations on your PhD. I know how hard it can be in the
Oh,
middle or in the process, let's say.
oh my gosh. Yes. Hard is an understatement. But it's so worth it. I have to say, I learned so much about myself, and just in terms of academia as a practitioner and as a researcher. Um, I really learned a lot around the space, and there's a lot that I thought I knew about leadership and organizational behavior and design, um, but layered on with the learnings from the program that I was in. I walked away, really excited and fulfilled is actually the word fulfilled around the experience. So yeah, but no, it's not easy. Anyone that's want to take that track, say rest up first.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing. I have one last question for you.
Yes.
And this is when people reach out to you after to listening to this episode. And please
Okay.
reach out to Tenia. She's amazing, right?
Thank you.
Do you have special offers or services for the Inspired podcast community?
I'm sorry, office or what did you say?
Special offers or services. So when
Oh,
people reach
services. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So of course I'm on LinkedIn. Everybody knows I'm on LinkedIn. Um, everybody has I think LinkedIn is the contact place. But I also have a website, theleadershipwise.com. And there are a lot of requests that come in terms of can you speak to my group or my team or uh, walk me through one of the concepts you mentioned. And absolutely, so I yes, leadership development is more my specialty area.
Wow, I love it. Thank you so much. And now it's time for your last message to the audience.
Oh no. Okay.
Okay.
Well, listen, I always say I think all of us have an opportunity to help the world be a better place. And I think now is the most important time for that. And so I'm challenging everyone in all my conversations to take one act of kindness a day And that is my challenge, is to experience or share an act of kindness, whether it's just saying hello or whether it's sharing a smile or whether it's helping someone with a project. I think if each person takes the time to share an act of kindness, it will make the world a better place.
Oh, I absolutely love this. I will implement it immediately. Thank you so much.
And then you have to share, Caroline.
Oh, thank you, and see you in the next episode.